Good news, everyone! The producers caved.
Yay!
But it's not over yet.
Boo!
On September 24th, the WGA announced that they and the AMPTP have an agreement in principle for a new 3-year contract, and they're ready to draft the agreement for ratification by the guild membership.
Which is great, and we want to send a big congratulations out to the WGA, their negotiating committee, and all the guild members, because not only is a fair deal hopefully right around the corner, but you've proven yet again that strikes fucking work.
Fucking A. Strikes are disruptive, of course, but they're supposed to be. When business as usual ain't cutting it anymore, workers have no choice but to unite, organize, stand up for what's fair, and strike.
Everything that you like about your job, the pay, the bennies, the sick time, the vacation, the holidays, all of that is thanks to a union.
And if you don't have that shit, or if you have it but it's not enough, that's thanks to a boss.
And that's no hyperbole. We've said it before and we'll say it again. Unions are your friend. They benefit workers and they protect labor from exploitation by the bosses.
That's right. If unions didn't benefit labor, corporations wouldn't spend so much time and money lobbying to make them illegal.
If something scares the bosses, it's good for the workers. All workers.
Plumbers,
Electricians.
teachers,
Truck drivers.
animators,
Auto workers.
directors,
Baristas.
forklift operators,
Writers.
hotel employees.
Strippers.
Fuck yeah. And actors. SAG-AFTRA is still striking for a fair deal because the producers haven't come back to the negotiating table. So, Hollywood's historic labor movement marches on.
So as always, if you can, toss some scratch to entertainmentcommunity.org. Hollywood isn't back in production yet, but it will be soon because labor is fucking winning.
And labor will always win, as long as we stand arm in arm, picket signs in hand, in solidarity.
You can cut down our shade, you can bust up our sidewalks, but you'll never break our spirit. Labor's rallying cry will ring out, they have the plant, but we have the power.
I don't remember that one from the Communist Manifesto.
It's from The Simpsons.
I know.
Hey, Adam, Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan, right there, thanks to a labor union.
Yeah.
By the way, what clown said that eyes and teeth aren't just covered by your medical insurance? Why are those separate plans? You know what? It never made... Okay, so it's probably due to the pharmaceutical lobbies, right? I bet you they're thinking, oh, we got eye doctors, why don't we have eye insurance?
Hi, I'm JP.
And I'm Adam.
I've never seen Lost.
I have.
I'm told that it's good.
I liked it.
I'm told that it made sense. Sort of. But we're watching it out of order.
So it definitely won't make sense.
But it might still be good. Since we won't expect it to make sense, we'll still be able to appreciate each episode on its own merits as a 1-hour story.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
As opposed to just a fraction of an ongoing, sprawling, and increasingly complex tangle of relationships, personal stories, mysteries, mythologies, experiments, social dynamics, unnatural disasters, unanswered questions, and hot tropical hookups.
Are you okay?
I'm not sure.
Because you lost me a little bit there at the end.
Well, good, because I've been lost since the beginning. We're lost on Lost.
Welcome everybody to Lost on Lost. The Lost Effect? Sort of? Kind of?
Sort of.
Hey, I'm JP Russell, and I'm joined as always by a man who always watches his shows in order, Adam Busher.
That is true. I would never watch anything out of order because it would kind of defeat the purpose of the whole serialized narrative, and I only watch serialized
And
narrative.
you would never spend a ton of time making a podcast about it if you didn't.
Yeah, I would never spend, upwards of 2 years of time and effort and energy and money to talk about watching a show out of order. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, this is our season 1 debrief, folks. We made it. We made it all the way through. This is episode 70. I feel like we forgot something last episode, but oh well.
Can't think of it. Whatever it would be.
Can't think of what. No. Yeah, we just want to sit down and kind of talk about how the first half of the podcast went, some stuff about the show, and tell you what to look forward to in the next couple of months.
Yeah, like each episode of the show that we did, save for one of them, we talked about an episode of Lost and just that episode. And we didn't ever really zoom out and look at the big picture because the nature of watching the show out of order, we didn't have the big picture. We didn't have the big picture even a little.
Yeah, yeah.
During my most recent vacation, I came to visit you, JP, and you and I and guests of the show and former guest host Eric and former guest Kai, the 4 of us sat down and tried to do a Columbo puzzle. Even though we had the picture, we had no idea what we were doing. And at times, there were furious stints of activity and progress being made by one of us, but never all four of us at the same time.
Right.
And that's kind of what this has been like. As my memory has been like filling in, rewatching the show, like my brain is starting to roll on. I was like, oh, I remember that, that happened and that led to this and then that led to that because of those two things.
Sure.
And then the same thing with you, case in point, your background extras document, that sort of thing. It's like, it's a different sort of thinking and problem solving, but our brains were
problem
functioning.
solving, yeah.
Our brains were putting pieces together. And now that we've watched it all, we hypothetically have the whole picture.
Especially like the last 5 or 6 episodes, like everything really started to click into place for me in terms of like, oh, okay, this led to that, this led to that. The only thing I never got a grasp on, just because I didn't fucking care, was like the Kate, Sawyer, Jack love triangle.
Sure.
Like when who kissed who, because I was so bored by it that during the recap for Through the Looking Glass, when it was like, oh, like somebody, I think like Kate kissed Sawyer or Kate kissed Jack or something like that in the recap, and I was like, I don't fucking care about any of this. I forgot that any of them kissed any of them, and that's because I'm abstinent for life.
That's right.
What's that, honey? Yeah, everything really clicked into place. I know that season 2 of the podcast is probably going to be a little bit more difficult because I guess the nature of the show isn't as linear.
Sort of, yeah. Because the producers had this end date that they had been begging for. They'd been allowed by ABC to bring the show to a close on their own terms. The through lines for the story arcs were clearer and a little bit more focused. They did a lot of stalling, especially in season 3.
Sure.
They do the opposite of stalling in the second half of the thing. Because not only do they have their clear end date on the corkboard there in front of them, season 4 was shortened by the 2007-2008 writer's strike. They had projected to do, I think, 18 episodes that season, and they only did 16, 15, something like that. But yeah, the second half of the show is going to be way more fragmented, again, because of the nature of the storytelling devices they chose to work with, which are awesome. But yeah, here on Lost, I think it's going to be doubly as hard to follow as this first half was.
I'm fucking looking forward to it.
Right. We're just here for the yucks anyway. I guess one of my first questions here for you as somebody who had never seen Lost before is like, having watched now all 60 whatever odd episodes of the first half of Lost, how'd you like it? What do you think? Like,
when it's entertaining, it's entertaining. When it sucks, it sucks. Thinking about most recently, Fire and Water. Man, that was a bad episode of Lost, bad episode of television. You know what I mean? We've talked about this ad nauseum. If the same show were made today with streaming considerations and having learned the things that shows have learned from making Lost, like if they got to do the same thing a second time around, like a take 2, man, this thing would be tight. It would be fucking sharp. It would be great. Because I feel like that's kind of like what Fringe is, right?
Yeah.
Like, Fringe still has a lot of episodes, but they figured out the formula of like, here's how we just fucking sink hooks into people.
Right.
And we do it week after week after week.
Yeah, if we're going to do 20-something episodes a season, let's have half as many main characters.
Yeah.
That's how we tighten it up, Or, if you want to do a big ensemble like that, 13-some characters, whatever, do fewer episodes. Tighten it up. Make it streamlined. Increase the pace. Increase the tension. Increase the stakes. All of that stuff. Lost didn't know necessarily how to effectively do that throughout its run, even in the second half of the show, which I like better than the first half. But, they did course corrections along the way,
Do you want to talk about storylines?
Sure. Yeah, throughout the first half, seasons 1 through 3, there were some fairly important sort of story arcs that either lasted a few episodes or a few seasons. And I've written down a couple that I think were kind of like the touchstones of season 1. These recurring things that affected so many different whatever types of things. Chiefly among them, the Hatch.
Yeah.
That was the kind of the first big, long storyline that we were introduced to, the entering of the Hatch. And then everything that was attached to it, that stuff lasted all the way up from midpoint season 1 to the end of season 2.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that when you ask people, like when I pitch the podcast, people are like, yeah, I never watched Lost. There's like there's an island, there's a plane crash, there's polar bears on the island, and there's like a hatch. Like,
yeah.
Those are like the 4 things people know.
Right.
And the guy from Party of 5.
Right. So yeah, the Hatch. What did you think about the Hatch? Did it live up to the hype
Hatch got done so fucking dirty. Like, man, I loved the hatch so much, and there was so much about the hatch that I wanted to explore and know, and then it just got bloated the fuck up. I mean, we got our sweet boy Desmond out of there, which,
Yes.
if I got to choose between the hatch and Desmond, I'm choosing Desmond 10 times out of 10. But, like,
Yeah.
it was like we got in, didn't answer any questions, then we just kind of used it as Beach 2.0 or Cave 2.0.
Yeah.
And then we blew it up, you know, just as like Saeed's like monkeying around trying to figure out magnets and shit. And I was like, this is cool. And the drawing and the kid drawing and just like, I don't know, all the other hatches we've encountered seem fairly just like, it's just, there's some weird social experiment. This one actually had something that was different about it, and we learned basically nothing.
Right, yeah, like it was framed originally when the survivors tried to look into it a little bit more, that it was just a social experiment, that they were just being watched. It turns out that, they kind of turned that on their ear when they discovered the pearl,
Right.
or the tube dump from the pearl. They
Right.
realized that the people watching the swan, which is our first hatch, they were the experiment. And the swan is an actual neat geomagnetic subterranean thermal blada science thing,
Magnet fart
which is incredibly interesting.
that turns the sky white and not purple.
And yeah, like I think I would have to agree with you. I feel like there's a ton of potential there to do some really interesting, strange, and compelling genre stuff, and they just didn't. Yeah, they were like, well, the button is loud and annoying, but hey, we have a shower and some Apollo bars now, so it's all good. So yeah, I would have to agree. I'm glad we got Desmond out of it, but yeah, like there was some cool stuff in there that they were just like seeds, plot hooks that just kind of got abandoned. And like if this is a D&D campaign. Sure. But this is a television show.
Sure, yeah.
If you're not going to pay them off, why bother throwing them out there in the first place? You're paying those writers. Pay them to write stuff that we're going to use.
Right, precisely.
Wasted potential. That's how I would describe the Hatch storyline.
What else we got here? The others.
Yeah, the others, the sort of primary antagonists to our survivors. You hear about the others, I think, first from Danielle, probably.
Yeah, like I feel like it's not really a thing until like season 2.
Because, like, close to the end of season 1, like the season 1 finale, that deals with Rousseau's threat that the others are coming to take Aaron.
Right.
It ends up being Walt, not Aaron.
The thing with the others, it's like we saw such an evolution of the others where they started out as the predator, just like in them trees.
Yeah.
And then they turn into fucking Looney Tunes by the end, like fucking Tom with a fake beard with like a gun that's got the flag that says bang that comes out, and they're just kind of blasted into the woods. And I was like, he's riding around on a tugboat, and it's like, what is happening here? I don't know. Like,
I personally like the subterfuge of them putting up a front, trying to mask their true reality, that they are just kind of like a bunch of libertarian communists, kind of like.
yeah.
Because they're not scientists like the Dharma Initiative, which is our next bullet point.
Right. I was gonna say they think that they're the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, but they're really
they're not.
But they're just like when you look at we know why the 46 survivors are on the island.
Yeah.
They were in a plane crash. They're there by accident. We know why they're there. That's why they got in an accident. We don't know why the others are there.
Because the others were there before Dharma, I think. Like, sort of.
And I think this will be clearly explained in the second half of the show if you watch in order, but poorly explained for us here on Lost on Lost.
Oh, good.
In the second half of the show, we're going to be introduced to the hostiles.
That was in Man Behind the Curtain.
Yeah, Ben's flashback back to his childhood, yeah. The hostiles and the others are not necessarily the same thing, but there is some overlap there. If you imagine a Venn diagram of the Dharma Initiative, the others, and the hostiles. The others as they exist in the present day is like the middle triangle between those three circles.
Sure.
Watching Man Behind the Curtain as our third episode of the show was kind of fucking hilarious because...
Well, and the fact that that's one of the 6 episodes of the show I've seen already.
Yeah.
And I remembered.
Because it's like the second to last episode of season 3. So they're at that point, they know that they're going to do 6 seasons. They're doing 3 more years. They know that. So they're like, that's foundational stuff for season 4, season 5, season 6. And so like we just had it rattling around in our brains since fucking 2021.
No, 2020, yeah. And there's so much of like season 2 that like where you don't know that Henry is Ben and who Ben is, and we knew from the fucking word go, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Which gives it all kinds of interesting flavor because, yeah, like the others for the chronological viewer is a question that was sort of asked when we started to see Ethan wasn't a survivor. And then when Rousseau was like, there are people here who are not you. But we've been dealing with it from the jump.
Yeah.
So yeah, the others. I mean, like this hasn't been paid off. Honestly, like we have not dealt with the end of the others plot line. They were a weird, they're like a group that were the Predator, then they were the Looney Tunes, but we're not going to find out what they actually are until next season. And it's kind of somewhere in the middle between the Predator and the Looney Tunes.
I was in a bar once, and this was when we were in college. And I talked to this old guy that we did a sketch comedy show called 6 Reasons, and he just sits back real quick and he goes, I got an idea for your show. Abbott and Costello meet the Predator. And I was like, dude, that's actually fucking good, man. That's got some
brilliant.
legs to it.
Yeah. And that was Oshkosh City Councilman Tony Palmieri.
Oh, man, what else we got here?
Sort of jumping off of the others, the Dharma Initiative. This is something that this got introduced right around the same time as the Hatch. Like, that's the first time we got exposed to anything about the Dharma Initiative. Everything in there is branded with Dharma Initiative, and from, probably about the beginning of season 2, we get seeds of it here and there. So, yeah, what do you think about the Dharma Initiative? Get any thoughts or theories?
It's super fascinating. It's real clandestine and esoteric, and I'm sure we'll get answers to everything. You know, like, I know that the island can't necessarily be found, but like still they're somehow getting like supply drops. That's fascinating. Like, who is still funding this on the back end? Like the submarine, the Pearl, the radio. Like, it's all fascinating, and it's all like lore cool shit that I'm positive that's one of the things that people are like, nothing ever got fucking explained, because everything is Dharma brand, and I just know we're not going to get answers to all the things that I want answers to.
Well, as far as the Dharma Initiative is concerned, is all of your questions being answered? Probably not. However, the Dharma Initiative into the second half is kind of an interesting and cool storyline that they do a lot with. I feel like they answer a decent amount. They don't answer everything, but they do some new stuff with the Dharma Initiative in season 5. So we'll probably be exposed to some new Dharma Initiative stuff pretty early in season 2. I know that we're doing the season 4 premiere for our first episode, but then I think it's nothing but season 5 and 6 episodes for like the first 8 episodes of season 2.
Great, perfect.
So I think we're going to see some really interesting stuff with the Dharma Initiative. And I think that they're probably pigeonholed a little bit by the network. They were like, don't get too weird. Like, you're weird enough. But like, you got these hatches, you've got the maps. Like, how are the hatches connected? What are they doing? Yeah. One of them's a geomagnetic thing. One of them's a psych experiment. One's a fucking baby tomb. Like,
one's a room full of Jello, but it's all like the bad flavors.
They're making an Ant-Man in one. One's got a sick rave.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get lots of answers to Room 23.
We're going to have nothing but Room 23 answers. It's Room 23 all the way down.
Oh, good.
The next thing I had written down was the tailies, and I guess by extension sort of the expansion of the cast as the first 3 seasons went by. Because
that's what this show needed, was more fucking people.
Because, I think in the pilot there were 13 credited main characters, which is your standard size for an ensemble show, you know.
Uh-huh.
But, the tailies joining the show early in season 2.
Is Bernard our only survivor? There's those 2 fucking kids, but they don't count.
I was like, not technically. He's the last tailie survivor still alive with the survivors. Yeah.
Right.
Because
and then what's her face?
Cindy and the kids have defected to the others. Yeah.
It's so hard because on paper it just feels like a cheap, like, oh, let's just throw more shit into the mix. But then you have an episode like the other 48 days. I'm like, fuck, that's a good episode. It's done just the right way.
Mm-hmm. It's my feeling that if you want to add people to an already large ensemble, you got to pay some of the existing people off and then let them, sort of sunset something. You want to bring in 4 new characters. You want to bring in Echo, Ana Lucia, Bernard, and Libby. Awesome. Cool. You're hardly doing anything with Claire,
Yeah.
Sideline her for a season.
Kill her off.
Which they sort of did with Shannon. They weren't hardly doing anything with Shannon, so they kills Shannon. But again, they didn't really flesh anything out with Shannon. Like,
Right, but then the episode where they found something for her to do, they were like, oh, we need to make a Shannon-centric episode, and then they killed her. It's like, fuck!
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you spent no time doing anything with Shannon, really, through the first season and a half. You decide to give her a story and then write her out. It's like, okay, why didn't you just do that a while ago? It's like, oh, it's because we wanted to make Saeed angry. Because, again, fridging, which is lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how you do that. Go ahead and bring more people in. I'm all for ensemble shows. I'm all for wide tapestry. So, yeah, so it can be done. And, and again, they sort of did it, but I feel like that was a fumble. They could have handled the size of the ensemble better, especially as they wanted to start adding people. You want to add some names? Fine. Give us some names.
Well, especially if, like, really by the time we really introduce them and understand who they are, they're just more beach survivors. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If they were a separate plot line happening on the other side of the island and they kept missing each other, thinking that the other group was others or something like that. But the fact that it's like, oh, well, they're just going to come here and they're just more beach survivors now.
There's just
and then
more people.
We're going to kill them all off almost as soon as we meet them all.
Yeah, like what if there was a compelling reason for the tailies to stay at the hatch they found? They're like, there's actually a resource here that we need, and now actually we should split the group up. Instead, we are 4 people now, or 6, however many they were when they were at their hatch. They make contact with the main beach, and then the main beach sends some of their folk over there. Now you've got 2 distinct locations, 2 now sources for storylines, 2 whatever,
Man, we should have wrote this fucking show.
So, yeah, I don't know. Can you think of any other big storylines, sort of overarching things that happened throughout the first 3 seasons that you wanted to touch on?
For me, that time that Jay Lee told Sun that he would never date her was really important, and I'll never fucking forgive him for that. Also, every scene with Jin's dad.
Sure.
Those 2 stand out a lot.
Perfect. I had a note here to talk about interesting B plots. The only one that I could really think of was Rousseau. She's not a main character. She's introduced as a supporting character. Like, she's around a lot. Her and her research team.
Yeah, what the fuck's that all about?
Yeah, that's just one of those big sort of still lingering unanswered, and I feel like important unanswered question that I think we get a bit of an answer to, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know how satisfying the answer is, but I think one is forthcoming in the second half of the show here.
All right.
But yeah, I just love Mira Furlan in that role, and Rousseau is
it's just so good.
It's just cool weirdness. So like, I'm looking forward to seeing some more development of that plot line as we proceed forward. I made a note here to talk about your least interesting plot line. Was there something that we dealt with as a major sort of focus of our time and effort that you found like a complete waste of time and energy?
I can think of one. When I said there's like 4 things that people know about the show, polar bears. Man, there's one in the pilot that is there for a second that just gets blasted in the face. Yeah. Another one that shows up really shitty in another episode, and production-wise, they're like, that was awful. We cannot do another polar bear. And then everyone forgot about it. The viewers forgot about it. There's the bear cages, I guess, in like season 3 or whatever. Yeah. But then like, the survivors just don't fucking care that one of the planet's most dangerous predators is just on the island and we just never see it. It must have a massive food source someplace else that it's just willing to let all these people off the hook that are traipsing through the jungle all willy-nilly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's like, okay, you wrote that in there. I'm assuming just to make the place
to
weird.
Fuck with people.
Yeah. And if that was your only reason, do something more production friendly.
Right. Have there be penguins everywhere.
Hell yeah. The one standout to me was the pregnancy thing.
Oh, sure.
This is a subplot that comes up. It's really important in season 3. Like, as I was like listening back to some of our old episodes, like collating some data, doing some prep work for guests, editing, all that stuff. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, you and Eric and Kai harped pretty heavily on them not really explaining much about the problem with pregnancy and conception on the island when you guys did DOC. And as I was editing that episode, I was thinking to myself, I don't know if they do ever explain it. And if they don't, that's fucking lame.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, we have a woman who conceived prior to the island and gave birth on the island. Danielle Rousseau gave birth to Alex on the island. Not conceived on the island, born on the island. Still alive, still fine. Mother's fine, daughter's fine. Son comes to the island, gets pregnant on the island. It's a death sentence. Dr. Burke, Juliet, gets her sister pregnant who has cancer. So she's an incredibly intelligent and capable fertility surgeon, doctor.
Sure.
She has no answers after 3 years. It would have been nice if somewhere along the line they're like, we have learned this. But they were like, in 3 years, we've learned nothing. Not only in 3 years have we learned nothing, all the years leading up to it before I got here, they learned nothing.
Sure.
Every morning, I'm starting my research from scratch. And again, you have a solution. If you want your weird others commune to exist, but the women who conceive on the island die, go back to the mainland. Get them pregnant.
Right.
Get them pregnant there. Come
Right.
back here. Continue to do that while you continue to research what the problem with conceiving on the island is.
Right. Yeah, the island's got these mystical powers. Well, women can't get pregnant. Not a problem. There's lots of other places where people can get pregnant.
Yeah. Behind a Denny's, in the backseat of a Volkswagen.
At a Stevie Nicks concert.
I guess let's put like a little bit of cap on seasons 1 through 3.
Sure.
Let's ask the question: did we? I mean, we sort of touched on it at the top, but like, did we like it? Was it good? Did you like the first 3 seasons? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that I liked it more than I didn't. I don't know what the statistics are going to show, but
we'll talk about that
I
coming
think so,
up.
yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I did. I had a good time doing it. Not only watching it to do the show, which I'm having a blast doing, but like watching the show itself. Like, yeah, I liked more of it than I disliked. I don't think I liked it as much as I did the first time around. But again, I'm now looking at these episodes on their just by themselves. And so, like you said at the top, when it's great, it's great, and when it sucks, it sucks. But on the whole, I think it sucks way less than it rules. Like I think it rules way more. I had a really good time with the first 3 seasons. Yeah. So then let's do a Lost MVP for the full season.
Man, this is tough.
For the full Lost on Lost season 1, first 3 seasons. Now, I have some statistics, but let's go with vibes first. Who was who would you call your MVP for the first 3 years of the show?
The problem is that I think I know statistically who our MVP is.
Sure.
Because of that, I feel like that's influencing. My gut reaction is it's a 50-50 split. I want to say either Saeed or Desmond.
Okay.
I really like the two of them. Everything that they do, I'm just fascinated by. I enjoy watching them act. I enjoy watching their characters make decisions. I feel like Desmond, because of the supernatural element, I'm drawn to more.
Sure.
They made Saeed too powerful, so they had to put him in the background a lot.
Right.
It's like, oh, shit. Yeah, we gave him a reason to be good at everything. Fuck, What about this white doctor that's got to be the savior?
That's what all the network knows. It's just like Nerf Saeed.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna, for vibe, I'm gonna say Desmond, man. I fucking dig Desmond.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
What about you? What's your vibe feeling?
My vibe.
Your vibe.
And I know this won't be reflected by the statistics, but honestly, my MVP for the first half is Sawyer.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wow.
mostly just because I'm always a fan of anti-heroes.
Sure.
He's not as
scoundrel.
Yeah, rogues. He's nowhere near as 3-dimensional of a character as Walter White or Vic Mackey or Tony Soprano or anything like that.
Sure.
But he's in that same sort of vibe. He's in that same sort of wheelhouse. He's a bad guy, but he's one of our protagonists. And so yeah, I've always liked anti-heroes, and I think through the first 3 seasons, yeah, we see him, he sucks so hard at the beginning, and then he's better closer to the end. He's still not necessarily likable on the whole, but he's making progress. And I like the fact that his progression from shitheel to less of a shitheel is also not a straight line. He's got his ups and downs.
We call that the Tom Brady curve. Oh, wait, no. Less of a shitheel? Sorry, it's an inverse Brady. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me. That's what I'm going on. The vibe is, Sawyer. So
yeah, that's now the thing. Like every show does. Whoever you hate in like the first 2 episodes ends up being your favorite person by like the end of season 2.
yeah, it is. It has become a bit of a trope as time has gone by. So yeah, and the other half of the coin, the Lost Forever full season, just on vibes only. Before we talk about the statistics, who was your least favorite character of seasons 1 through 3?
I want to slap Charlie around. Okay, here's the deal. Shannon and Charlie should have been merged into one character.
Sure.
But then that's a character. Boone serves no purpose.
Sure.
I cannot stand Boone.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he died off for us on the podcast so soon was great, just because I could jettison all thought of him from my mind.
Sure. Yeah.
He didn't fucking do anything except get in the way, and that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it would probably be Ana Lucia, honestly.
Ooh, okay.
Because, again, like, it's the same problem that Boone has. She gets in the way a lot. She
does.
She has the same desire. She wants to do the right thing. But again, because of who she is as a character, her concept of what the right thing is 90% of the time a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Like, when Jack comes up to her and says, like, how long do you think it would take to train an army? She's like, that's a great question. Let's find out together, instead of, you're nuts. Let's not do that. Here's a better question. How long do you think it would take to build a wall of bamboo around the beach so nobody comes and bothers us?
She's always running on the beach in full skinny low-rise jeans. Like, I don't trust anybody that does that.
Right. You're telling me that not one of those bags that you rat fucked from the nearby jungle didn't have a pair of running shorts in them? Not one?
Couldn't just cut them jorts.
So yeah, Ana Lucia, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, when Michael kills her, like, that's so satisfying.
Yeah, but then Libby got caught in the crossfire, and that actually sucked.
Yeah, that actually sucks a lot. And then
Libby played ably by Cynthia Watros, who starred on Titus for 3 seasons.
I'm so sad that we're not going to see her anymore.
Why are you looking like that? I know this is a podcast, but you do this maniacal smile every time, you piece of shit.
So that's it. The Lost Forever full season, just on vibes. Ana Lucia and Boone Carlisle. 2 characters that, despite the fact that they didn't even survive all 3 seasons, made all 3 seasons worse.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, then, so we did the vibes. Let's talk about the hard numbers.
Oh,
Let's talk about the hard numbers.
love hard numbers, baby.
So throughout the first season of Lost and Lost here, I have been keeping painstaking notes on Did We Like It, Was It Good, Lost Forevers, and Lost MVPs. And so I've crunched the numbers.
I'm now seeing this for the first time. I'm just opening up this document.
So I've added a couple of notes to our main spreadsheet. So
Dude, you're so good at spreadsheets.
I want to talk about a couple of things from our main spreadsheet before I move into the new spreadsheet I've created.
Sure.
We've done, this is episode 70. We had one episode where we didn't talk about Lost. We did the work trip back in episode 55. So there were 68 separate episodes of Lost on Lost where we talked about either an hour or 2 of produced Lost hours. Listening back to the show, we forgot to ask, did we like it, was it good, for episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
So these
I don't know if were we doing that then?
Well, that's it. We have Lost and MVPs and Lost Forevers for it, and we did ask the question in the pilot when Noel was on.
But that was the 10th recorded episode.
Correct. So we may not have had the idea to ask, did we like it, was it good, as an actual segment on the show until, give or take.
Yeah, because I remember that
7.
came in, it was, not initially in our...
So of the 68 episodes of Lost on Lost, where we talked about an episode of Lost, 63 of them have an entry for did we like it, was it good. So these numbers are based on 63. The system, and it's not the most sophisticated system, basically like, did we like it, was it good? Yes, no, something in the middle. A hard no is 1 point. A hard yes is 3 points. A meh is 2 with a like yes-ish or a no-ish. Like I massage some things here and there. So the perfect score for a normal episode of Lost on Lost is a 9. 9 out of 9. Episodes where we had 2 guests, the perfect score would have been 12 out of 12. And a bad score would be 3 out of 9. So that would be a consensus. Nobody liked it.
Sure.
So a perfect score for the season altogether would have been a 9.1.
Okay.
On the whole, the average score of an episode is rounded up to a 7, 6.99, which is a 76%, which is a C on the American grading scale. So, like I said, this isn't a perfect sort of representation of what it is. We got, give or take, 31 of the 68 episodes where we had a consensus between you, me, and our guests that it was good.
Sure.
Yes or yes-ish. And we only had 8 episodes where you, me, and our guests all did not like the episode.
Only 8, huh?
Only 8, yeah. So 31 consensus yes, 8 consensus no, that's 39. So the remaining, whatever, we're all somewhere in the middle. splits.
Sure.
You know, some of us liked it, some of us didn't. We had some consensus Matt episodes. Those would have been just scores of 6 out of 9. We
Sure.
had some splits. Like here's an instance. Episode White Rabbit, Chrissy Ruiz's first appearance. It was a split where you really liked it, and Chrissy and I were kind of meh on it. So your score of 3, me and Chrissy score of 2, 7 out of 9. So that's better than an average score, but we were split on it. I think there were 23 episodes that got a perfect score from us, which would have been a 9 out of 9 or a 12 out of 12, whatever.
Okay.
I don't think any of our double guest episodes got perfect scores. But yeah, so 31 episodes where we as a group liked them. 21 of those 31 we all gave a perfect score. Highlights of that, of course, you know, our most recent episode, Through the Looking Glass, but then fan unfavorite expose, universally reviled episode expose. Perfect score from us here on Lost on Lost.
We're just saying, is this a good 40 some odd minutes of television? Right. And you know what? It was.
Well, and that's the question, is like, did we like it? And it's like Freddie said in that one episode. He's like, does this thing understand what it's trying to do? That episode knew it was trying to be a soap opera, and it fucking nailed it.
Right, precisely. I could see if I was waiting for answers on the Dharma Initiative, watching this in order, 1 episode a week, and I got that, I'd probably be furious. Watching it in this format, after we were introduced to Nikki and Paulo and hated them, and then they die a fantastic death. Fuck yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, not quite half of our episodes we gave.
Yeah, it's cool.
But more than half we either liked or were split on, you know. So
that's interesting. Yeah, this is really cool to look at. We'll have to post this online so people can take a look at it.
So Lost MVP, my first thing I want to mention is we had 2
Oh my god. This spreadsheet is amazing.
We had 2 episodes from our Lost MVPs that had somebody swept MVP.
Sure.
Going back to episode 40, where we covered Left Behind with Carter guest hosting for you and Patty Robinson as our guest. Hurley swept that episode as the MVP.
Sure.
And then episode 58, DOC, Eric filling in for me, and Kai as the guest. Jin's dad swept the MVP.
Yes!
So we had those 2 sweeps, 2 episodes where a character swept the Lost Forever, or the Lost MVP.
Well, I'm pretty sure we liked Jin's dad in another episode too, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. So let's go to my separate Lost MVPs spreadsheet here. So this was a bit that we knew we were going to do from the jump. So every episode has entries.
Yes.
But there were some episodes in which you or me or the guest said more than one person or thing or concept. So over the course of 68 episodes, we made 229 separate Lost MVP selections.
Sure.
I've separated them into 4 categories. We have our main cast, we have our supporting cast, we have our Lost real world production folks, real world people not involved with Lost.
Edward Craven Walker, inventor of the lava lamp.
And then of course just other. So that's sort of so 5 categories. So we'll start with our main cast. I've highlighted here the highest score that any main cast member got from us. Of my 78 selections that I made for Lost MVP, 58 of them were main characters.
Sure.
My highest, of course, being Hurley. I selected Hurley 11 times out of the 58. I selected a main cast member. Your highest selection was Jin-Soo Kwon. You selected him.
I only put Hurley once?
Yeah.
Well, because, to be fair, for the sake of making the podcast entertaining, sometimes, if our guest says one that's just that's a solid pick.
Yeah.
Like, Hurley's a good pick for the episode.
Yeah.
I'll try to come up with something funnier than that or something more thoughtful. So,
again, these statistics are as much jokes as our answers are.
But in my head, I thought I had to have said Hurley more than once because I thought he would just sweep this. I mean, He is clearly the number 1.
Yes, overall, he is the most selected main cast member, 24 selections over the course of the first 3.
And that's who I was struggling with the vibe. It's like, I want to know the most about Desmond.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most entertained by Hurley.
Sure.
Hurley's the best character all around.
Yeah. And also reflected by our guests selecting Hurley 12 times out of their 52 selections. So
Right. Right.
So yeah, and then of the 229 selections we made, we selected a main cast member 144 times, you, me, and the guests as a group. So more than half the time we selected a main character. But yeah, your most selected character, Jin-Soo Kwon, runner-up, John Locke.
Runner-up, John Locke. God damn it.
And yeah, the top five for main characters: Hurley with 24, Sun with 16 selections, Jin with 14 selections, Locke with 11, and then tied in fifth place, Saeed and Sawyer with 10 each.
Yeah.
A bunch of folks got one. Boone, Shannon, Vincent the Dog, Penny, Anna Lucia, Michael Dawson, Richard Alpert, Dr. Shepard, Christian Shepard, and Eloise Hawking.
Christian Shepard got one. Good for him.
And then that would have been me. Yep. I said Christian Shepard one time. So yeah, any standout facts there that in the Mad Cast section that you want to address before we move on to the supporting cast?
Jack's higher than I thought he would be.
Jack with 7, tied with Echo for 6th place.
That's wild to me because I like Echo a lot more than I like Jack right now.
Well, according to the stats, you selected Echo and Jack once each.
All right.
And yeah, I gave Jack 3, which is, I think, fewer than I thought I would have given him. That's what statistics are for, I guess.
Numbers don't care about your feelings, Adam.
Next category, supporting cast. These numbers, there are way more different selections here. Of the 229 selections, we've selected a supporting cast member 46 times. Our top 5 selected supporting cast members: Danielle Rousseau with 5.
Yeah, that tracks.
Jin's dad with 4 again. So the three selections that got him the sweep, you, Eric, and Kai, and then another guest somewhere along the line also selected Jin's dad, giving him 4, and 3 of them coming from one episode. Tied for 3rd place, Alex Rousseau and Mikhail Bakunin. Right underneath them, Leslie Arst with 2, and then a bunch of folks tied with 1 each. My most selected supporting cast member was Mikhail. I gave him all 3 of his points. Your most selected supporting cast member, Danielle, and our guest's most selected supporting cast member was Mr. Kwan, Jin's dad.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love that for Mr. Kwan. What a glow up. Man's only in 2 episodes and he's top of the supporting cast.
Yep. Yeah. And other notable people getting at least 1 vote. Tom Friendly, Carl.
I gave Carl a vote? What the fuck? That doesn't sound right.
Carl, Rags, Goldie.
Fucking Goldie.
Goldie. I'm a little
king.
sad that Goldie only got 1 vote.
Well, he's only in 1 episode.
Still.
Well, technically 2. He's a corpse.
The next section on this, lost real world production folks. So this included writers, actors, whatever. This was kind of didn't get selected a ton of times. 13 selections out of the 229. Jorge Garcia and Elizabeth Mitchell tying with 2 selections each.
Sure.
Yeah, other notable people there: Nathan Fillion, Julie Bowe, and John Terry.
Yeah.
All great guest cast.
Let's take Adewale's real world one and add that to his main cast one so that he can be a full number above Jack.
It's not how this works.
I think it is. That's how stats work. You can just bend numbers to your will.
Put an asterisk. You can put an asterisk on it.
Cool. No, Goldie's putting an asterisk.
2 real-world people, Edward Craven Walker, the inventor of the lava lamp, and Chris the Glove Taylor, both selected by you.
Who the fuck is Chris the Glove Taylor?
I had to go back and listen to the episode when you selected Chris the Glove Taylor. He's a musician. He's a songwriter.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote a track specifically for Lost that doesn't
for
exist
when Hurley's
anywhere.
walking across the beach, right?
Yeah. And you can't get the track anywhere. But it is a fucking banger. The other category, 24 out of the 229 selections. Some abstract ideas here. The winner, the polar bear / polar bears. 3 selections. Our guests selected them twice. You selected them once.
Our guests are fucking idiots.
But yeah, interesting things in here. The many and varied sticks of the tail is selected by Nick Brandel. The Halliburton case, the Zero Halliburton case, getting 1.
Locke's hairpiece.
Yeah, Locke's hairpiece. The copier
Echo's left peck. Echo's right peck.
Yeah. Both selected by you in the same episode. You called it a tie. I abstained once, and that was pretty recently.
Jin's abs. Man, I'm obsessed with boys' muscles.
You do like muscles. You do like muscly boys. But who can blame you, honestly?
Gallon of Dharma Initiative range dressing.
I thought that was kind of funny because for Lost MVPs, I only selected a non-human or non-character thing once.
Yeah.
And you did 11 times.
Yeah, that tracks.
So those are some stats for our Lost MVPs.
Holy fuck, that's amazing. We'll have to post all this because this is really, really good.
Yeah. So let's move on to our statistics for Lost Forever.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Now, again, when we do Lost Forevers, it's just like Lost MVPs. Sometimes people name more than one thing. So over the course of 68 episodes, we made 237 separate selections. So the 5 categories are, of course, our main cast, our supporting cast, then our Lost Real World production folks, then our real world people / groups. I put the groups in here too, because I didn't feel like they really fell into the other category. So
Sure.
So of the 237 picks, 128 of them were main cast. Our top 5 Lost
List is amazing.
Our top 5 Lost Forevers. Dr. Jack Shepard coming in at number 1.
Fucking knew it. Fucking knew it, baby.
23 selections out of the 128. A full, 20%.
The main character of the show.
Coming in second place, John Locke with 18.
You fucking idiots.
Third place, Charlie Pace with 15. Fourth place,
shit.
Kate Austin with 13.
We need to bump Kate up some more, man. Locke doesn't deserve that.
And then tied for 5th place, Sawyer and Michael Dawson, both coming in with 11. My most selected main cast member was a tie between John Locke and Charlie Pace. I selected them both 7 times out of my 43 main cast member selections.
Wow.
You selected Dr. Jack Shepard 6 times out of your 32 main character selections.
Yeah, that feels right.
And our guests selected Jack Shepard 11 times out of their 53 responses.
Holy shit.
Of the 237 picks, I made 80 of them. You made 69, and then our guests made 88. So I made a lot of these picks because there were several instances when I think there were 2 separate instances where I think I gave 5 people Lost Forever in one episode.
Fuck them. They're all culpable.
Exactly.
They're all suspect.
So then our next category is our supporting cast members. Our number 1 most selected supporting cast member was Edward Mars, the Marshal, with 7 selections out of 68. Tied for second place, 3-way tie for second place, Danny Pickett, Randy Nations, and Jay Lee, each with 3. And then a whole handful of people tied for 4th place here with 2 points apiece. Anthony Cooper, Roger Linus, Liam Pace, Ethan Ron, Danielle Rousseau, Leslie Arist, Secretary Byung Han, and the others at large.
Tommy Do Heroin. That's Tom's episode, right?
Yeah. And that character's name is Tommy. I don't remember what his last name is, but he's Charlie's heroin buddy. My most picked supporting cast member was Edward Mars. I selected him 5 times out of my 26 supporting cast members. You were least likely to select a supporting cast member for MV or Lost Forever out of us. You only did 19. Yours were really spread out though. But you did select Jay Lee twice because he is a thumb and he's the worst.
He looked Sun in the face and told her basically that she was worthless.
Yeah,
and then has the audacity to come back and sleep with her? Unacceptable.
Absolutely insane. And then our guests, they had a 3-way tie with Danny Pickett, Anthony Cooper, and the others at large. They were selected each twice out of the guests' 23 selections.
Interesting.
Yeah, this was a very widespread here on supporting cast. A ton of people coming in with at least 1 vote.
Sure.
The passenger flying with a copy of the Fountainhead, which we suspect may have been Boone, but we have no proof.
It has to be. It fucking has to be.
Isaac of Uluru and Isaac of Uluru's graphic designer.
Rachel Claire's shitty best friend.
Yep. Claire's aunt, Lindsay Littleton. Just as many votes as the Smoke Monster. But yeah, Cindy Chandler, our poor forgotten flight attendant who defected to the others, she got rung up once. Alvar Hanso, the Honorable Warren Trust Secretary of agriculture, fisheries, and forestries of Australia.
Who the fuck is Mark Silverman?
That's Jack's best friend from when he was a child, played ably by
yeah, fuck
Zach
that guy.
Ward, who played Dave in Titus for 3 years. Fuck yes, got him! Yes!
God damn it!
However, this version of Mark Silverman was the child Mark Silverman, who was not played by Zach Ward, and he got, I think he got given Lost Forever for just like eating punches and not being able to fight back. So yeah, supporting cast. Thanks for coming out, y'all. You guys stink. Lost real world production, folks. Selected 14 times out of the 237. Damon Lindelof is the champion there with 2 picks, both from me. But 5.
Matthew Fox has 1. Come on, man. That's just a pick for Jack.
No, I listened back, and our guest specifically said Matthew Fox because of the way he acted.
Fine.
But yeah, several members of the writing staff: Edward Kitsis, Adam Horowitz, Elizabeth Sarnoff, Stephen Maida, Leonard Ding, Carlton Hughes, all getting rung up at least once.
All of the writers, all of them.
Your nemesis, April Webster, the casting director. 1 vote from you. I had to look this one up. Kevin Blank, the VFX supervisor. In one episode, I gave my Lost Forever to the person who decided that you could see the Sydney Opera House from everywhere in
nice,
Sydney.
nice. Yeah.
So I was like, that was probably a VF. I mean, it's certainly a VFX. So
we also have him to thank for the terrible Iraqi cityscape backgrounds.
Yeah.
Oh man, this next category says a lot about me and you as people.
It certainly does. The real world people / groups. 13 selections out of 237. Tied for first place. Former President Ronald Reagan. And the Roman Catholic Church, each with 2 votes apiece. You at home can guess who made those votes. Spoiler, I voted for Reagan twice for Lost Forever, not in real life. And JP voted for the Roman Catholic Church twice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The designers of the 1972 Volkswagen ESV W1, the first vehicle with automatic seatbelts.
I thought the LAPD was going to get more, but it only got 1 vote. Same total of votes as the 2004 New York Yankees and the U.S. Army.
Oh, man, we got to get Ayn Rand 1 more vote to be tied with Reagan and the Roman Catholic Church.
The CIA is hilarious because that was Carter, and that was not something I necessarily expected.
Hell yeah, Carter. Fucking
Carter based AF.
Hell yeah, base as fuck, baby. Keeping it real.
We're going to have to put that on his guest title entry, based. Oh my god! And then the
upper middle class white folks.
Yeah, that was Brett, and he was spot on with that. And yeah, the final category, other 14 selections out of the 237. All tied with 1 vote. We none of these got more than 1 vote. I only made 1 selection here. You made 8.
I made 8.
And our guests made 5. I voted for Edward Morris's backup cops when they first arrested Kate in the obvious cops are obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was throwing shade at Carrie Ann Moss for stealing fucking Elizabeth Mitchell's career.
Yep. Very good stuff. Yeah, very good stuff. TV movie cards because of that fucking Randy Nations card that you gave me.
And the fucking the bilingual one I tried to buy, but they wanted like $70 for it.
Yeah. And then we have one final tab here, the honorable mentions. We did occasionally pass out a few honorable mentions. Nothing too stellar here. 28 honorable mentions were given out over the course of the show. 20 were given out to main cast members. I gave out 15 of them.
I gave out 1 to Power Rangers SPD.
Yeah. And so on this chart, the blue ones are good honorable mentions. They were honorably mentioned during Lost MVP, and the reds are mentioned during the Lost Forevers. So Charlie Pace received an honorable mention, a positive honorable mention, and a negative honorable mention at some point from me. And yeah, the Dead Zone Kids, Susan Porter, Charlie's Fake Baby, the Bottle of Messages. The LAPD got an honorable mention.
Golden Jesus.
A negative one. And Golden Jesus, I think, got a positive. Yeah.
Julie Bowen's eyebrows got an honorable mention, but she was also in the Lost Forevers. Or the eyebrows were in the Lost
Yeah.
Forever. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and so then there was one final statistic, which now that we've mentioned the honorable mentions, I can talk about too. I did do a fuck the police ACAB counter, which went up to 20.
Holy shit.
20 separate times we selected a law enforcement individual as a lost forever, or honorably mentioned for lost forever. So
Adam, this is a colossal amount of work, and I appreciate the shit out of it. And this is way more useful than that weird thing that I just spent months doing.
I disagree. I feel like it's as useful.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, and this wasn't it wasn't like you put way more work into your project than mine, because mine I've been slowly collating this over the course of the entire thing. Every episode I write these down, and so all I had to do was look at the data I had already collected a week at a time. So
well, I would do the background extras as I was looking for preview images for episodes.
Yeah.
It was just putting it all into some sort of viewable thing that I just took 1 8-hour workday and didn't do my job.
Nice. Love to hear that. We might as well use that as a segue to mention, I want to say thank you for all your hard work on our social media campaigns. Like, yes, some of the ideas are mine, but 85 to 90% of them are yours, and 100% of the work is you.
Yeah, but listen, I want to not take a compliment and throw one back at you. You do a lot of work with all of the admin shit for this show. That we said 2 rules since day one. It's got to be fun, and we're splitting the work. And we have continued to do that. So y'all are going to, unfortunately, get a back half of this fucking podcast.
So that's it. Those are the statistics. Those are the vibes. Those are the things we've covered already. Yeah, thank you to you, JP, for your continued social media acumen and expertise and foolishness and silliness.
Yeah, there we go. That's the word.
And so then, now that we've talked about the last 3 years, let's talk about the next couple of years. The second half of the show is not going to be as long as the first half. The seasons 4, 5, and 6 had fewer episodes than seasons 1, 2, and 3. So the second Lost on Lost season 2 will be shorter than the first one, only by a handful, but it's going to be shorter. So yeah, things we're looking forward to.
Yeah, well, so we're gonna take sort of a break. Well, not like a
schedule, not like a schedule break.
Yeah, not like a schedule break, but more of sort of a Lost specific break. We're gonna do what we are now calling the Lost Effect. So we're gonna take some time and watch and talk about some Lost adjacent content. So things that either were heavily influenced by Lost or things that, one product in particular that came before Lost, like Lost could not have happened without it. And we're going to discuss that and talk about sort of how Lost has played a part in all of these other pieces of property, media that people are familiar with.
We're still going to post on our regular schedule every couple of weeks like normal, every other Wednesday. But yeah, we're going to touch on some, like JP said, Lost adjacent content. And, it's us, so it's going to be kind of stupid.
Yeah. Well, there's a few real strange ones we've got planned in here that are more for us than you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's just for fun, and just to sort of shake it out a little bit. We've said a handful of times already. We've been pre-producing and then producing this show since
2020.
So here it is, better part of 3 years, and. Yeah, it's still fun. Still having a blast. But
I like it.
We're just gonna shake loose a little bit, shake some muscles out.
Well, we need some time to do. I know we got to do some refresh of branding and graphics and sounds and things like that for season 2. So this will give us a chance to work on that, or we're not fucking killing ourselves, because we do have jobs outside of just this podcast, obviously.
Which is honestly just the worst.
It's frankly fucking rude that some fish had to crawl out of the fucking ocean, and now I gotta work 8 hours a day. Well, I'm really probably only working like 4, but then I can't do my podcast.
That's right. It's unreasonable.
Adam, what are we watching next time?
That's a great question, JP. You talked about a property that's been around since well before Lost. Next week, we are going to be watching the pilot episode of the 1968 television show, The Prisoner, starring Patrick McGoohan.
What an unfortunate name.
but joining us for that recording is going to be media gadfly Jacob Holler. So those of you So those of you who missed him, all of your dreams will be coming true at once. Yeah, The Prisoner is a very, very interesting piece of television history, and we're very much looking forward to talking about it, especially with Jacob. So,
well, hey, thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of Lost on Lost, The Lost Effect.
Yeah, The Lost Effect. I'm Adam.
I'm JP.
Do you have any idea what we've just done?
No.
Me neither.
Lost on Lost is produced and edited by me and JP.
We wish to acknowledge that we live, work, and produce our show on occupied land.
Burbank, California is located on the traditional tribal lands of the Tongva, Chumash, Kizh, and Fernandino Tataviam peoples.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin is located on the traditional tribal lands of the Peoria, Potawatomi, Miama, and Ho-Chunk peoples.
And Lost was produced in Hawaii on the lands of the Kanaka Maoli.
Visit native-land.ca to learn more about the land you live and work on.
You can engage with us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter at Lost on Lost 1.
You can also email us at wearelostonlost@gmail.com or support us with dollar monies at coffee.com/wearelostonlost.
Thanks to Lostpedia and its community of contributors, Danny Schmitz, random.org, and as always, you the listeners for tuning in.
We're hosted at Podbean. You can hear us there or wherever you get your podcasts, except MySpace. We're not on MySpace.
Yet.